welcome to Traveling Young, and this is take 2 because take 1 I felt like I had low energy.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Very low, like monotone speaking, low energy.
We're trying. We're doing our best.
Yeah, and we talked about something at length when we started the last one, and I don't remember what it was.
I think it was about how we've been tired, and
oh,
we have
maybe
new
that.
schedules.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah, the fact that this is a Wednesday video.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday
which
video.
is not common. So
No.
as we mentioned before in a past video, I started a new job a few days ago, and she's been doing these certifications for her job. Yeah. We're still both in Danish class.
Yeah.
Maya's been working and also
not a lot
in
of
her
brain power going on.
Or
generally. Time.
Because this is something that we do in our free time, and we have a lot less of that lately. And so we're adjusting the schedule a little bit. There'll be some weeks where we have one video. We'll probably do that on Wednesdays when that happens.
Yeah.
And then there'll be weeks where we have Tuesday and Thursday videos. It just kind of depends on what's going on.
Yeah, so we're sorry to the YouTube algorithm for not keeping consistent.
I decided it doesn't care about us.
We're
anyway.
doing what we can.
Yeah, but we want to keep going, and so we're trying to get a pace that works with our schedule for us and stuff, so that we can keep this going. And that's what we started with. Then we after that said that we're going to talk about drinking and alcohol, but for adults. We've done a video from Maya's perspective, and we've talked about parenting and adjusting as parents, with Maya learning to drink, being able to drink much earlier than if we lived in the U.S., but we haven't really talked about adults.
And it's been an adjustment for us because it's different, for sure.
And I wanted to talk about this because my last couple of videos I've had like rum or something that I've been drinking while talking on the video, and some people made comments about that. So I thought it was worth just bringing up. And also, by the way, I just bought a smoker, and when I put it together, I'm also a little tired because I put it together tonight and it's quite large.
Yeah.
When I put it together in the instructions, step by step, it recommended you have alcohol.
As you should when you're smoking.
And there you go. So I think it's interesting to talk about because, I mean, first of all, I think the way that I think of it, I don't know if you think of it this way, when it comes to the videos, is this is like our free time and what we do for fun. And this is our living room.
We're trying to make it hooty.
This is our couch. And it's like our evening.
We're all hanging out together.
And we want you to feel like you're hanging out with us in our living room. And if whoever you may be, were over our house at night after work, relaxing on our free time, we'd probably offer you like some whiskey or something.
Yeah, like I'm, being from the South, we got Jack Daniels. I'd totally pull out the Jack Daniels and tell you about how we used to live 15 minutes from the Jack Daniels distillery.
Yeah.
Bring out something new.
And just because we may have a drink in a 10, 15 minute video, that does not mean every 10 or 15 minutes. So just know that it's a time to relax, welcome you into our house, feel like this is just us being us. And that's the reason why I sometimes have a drink.
And also preemptively, I will say that when we talk about this particular subject, we are not judging. We are in no way judging anybody for the way that we drink. We're just purely making observations about, what we've experienced and the differences between here and the U.S.
Yeah, and just observations in general.
So it's just observations. Don't roast us.
All right, so what we thought we'd talk about like 4, this is like high level categories of people. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different people when it comes to drinking, but the first is there's obviously people that just don't drink at all. That may be for religious reasons or for like health reasons.
We know quite a few people who just don't drink at all.
And I mean, for health reasons too. Yeah. That they don't want to damage their liver, or obviously alcohol is just not the best thing for you, but guess what? Neither is pork.
Neither, or cakes, or
or
there's just a lot. But
Festilambu is probably not all that great for you either.
Everything in moderation. Everything in too much of a quantity is going to be bad for you.
Yeah, and that's the next point, which is there's a group of people that drink occasionally, like socially, and that's where we are.
That is definitely where we are.
I go sometimes weeks without having a beer or anything because it's not super important, but I like to enjoy the taste when I relax.
Yeah.
And so we drink responsibly, and I think it's important because sometimes I feel like there's this binary view of folks think that if you see somebody drinking, that they just drink all the time.
Yeah.
And they go too far. But that's not true. So I also think it's good for kids like Maya to see that we can drink and have like a glass of whiskey and that be it and be fine and not abuse it and do it in moderation so they can learn that it's okay and there's no stigma attached, and actually there's a path to being a responsible drinker, which is how I think we are, and why I don't think about it if I have it on video because...
And I think there's also, people forget that, people make a big deal about, wines have these different flavors, or, beers have different flavors. And the way that you can distill whiskey or rum or gin you can have wildly different flavors. And so we often drink alcohol because we want to try a new flavor. And like we got this like coffee infused
that's what I drank last time,
which was last time, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So sometimes we just drink because we want to taste it, and it's not about getting drunk at all.
Yeah, and when I do these beer tastings, it's always things I've never had before.
Yeah.
My refrigerator's full of different things just because I like to try new stuff.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, a lot of times some breweries and some whiskey and stuff is local, and you're supporting local businesses too, which is kind of cool. Like a lot of these microbrews are small businesses that it's nice to support them and help them.
Or the mead producers, stuff like that.
So another group of people is people that like to drink for the purpose of getting wasted.
Yeah.
And this is so in our circle of friends. And let's say work too, because friends and people we worked with and colleagues, I feel like there's a few more of that in Denmark compared to in the U.S. And I think the reason why is people here are more open about drinking amongst colleagues, where it's like there's like, it's weird.
I feel like in the U.S. drinking to get just kind of trashed is a thing for the young. Like that's what you do when you're in
there's adults that do it, but
or like young adults.
But they don't do it in big groups typically. Yeah. But I mean, I've been in like Christmas parties in Denmark where I've seen people that they're like a completely different person than normal, and I'm like, wow, and I like slowly nurse something so it looks like I'm drinking, so nobody's trying to give me more. But I'm very surprised the first couple work parties, and then the fact that there's a Friday bar at work here. Every job I've been to, I mean, my last job they had a tap, in the office, and
that's super weird.
Super different for us to experience that. I've never worked anywhere in the U.S. or been to an office that had like a brewery there that they just had beer all the time. And so in the U.S., if like I'd go and have a drink, it'd be after work. We'd go like happy hour somewhere, and you're paying out of your pocket.
Yeah,
it's expensive to go to a bar.
Your time and your dime.
You'd have like one maybe. Yeah. Whereas here, I feel like in the jobs I've had, people have gone on Fridays to the Friday bar first, drink a bunch where they don't really have to pay for it, and then they go on and do some other activity, and they've already got a bit of alcohol in them ahead of time.
The pre-party.
And it's kind of an interesting thing because I feel like like there's this interesting openness around drinking at work that I'm just not used to.
Not used to that. It's super taboo in the U.S. to I mean, I think there's certain instances where you might, like at a Christmas party, like people are expecting, maybe work will provide 2 glasses of wine or something, but it's just not. It's not a regular thing, and it's not something that we're used to seeing. So it's an adjustment for us to get used to, like, oh, this is normal.
And I mean, it's not meant to be critical. It's just an observation that's a difference that, I'm just, that was an adjustment a little bit when I first got here. But I don't mind having a free beer.
No.
So then another group of people are just people that have an alcohol problem and
that it's a serious
alcoholism
issue,
and that's obviously something that we hope people get help they need, and that people don't go down a path that takes them to that. So there's not much to say about that except that's sad and yeah, that's.
We really hope that there's, you know, help for them, and they should get help, because that affects everybody, not only themselves but also their families and things.
And I feel like it's almost, but it can be belittled a little bit when people like quickly judge somebody who they see drinking and say they have an alcohol problem when they probably don't, and that kind of belittles people that really do have problems that need help by kind of like judging another person. Yeah. And that's what's bothered me occasionally, not recent comments, but there have been comments in the past where people have implied that I've got an alcohol problem or something because occasionally I have a beer.
Making assumptions.
You know? It's just not, so that's why we wanted to talk about it, because this stuff comes up occasionally. And I think it's an interesting topic to discuss because it is different. The role that alcohol plays in society is different. And I think in the U.S. it's more, maybe a bit more private.
Yeah, I think that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's. I feel like it is much more private. It's like much more something that you do with your
like very small group.
A small group of friends, and it's not, like here. It's just like, oh well, he's got a beer,
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. I don't know. It's we're just like raw talking and having a conversation.
But it's an interesting subject for us, and I think I think it does make us like. I don't know how else to say it, like bristle a little bit when people kind of make assumptions about us and, judge us based off of the fact that, we have a drink. Or a lot of the Try It On Tuesdays have been alcohol. And it's just because, it's not because like, oh, we're alcoholics or like we, really like to drink. It's just that's something easy for us to go out and purchase and to have. And usually it's really weird flavors, so it gets a reaction.
Yeah, like licorice.
Like the hot and sweet stuff.
But it's still in my freezer.
Yeah, it's pretty full. So,
but anyway. I mean, it's So that's we just wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's that.
It is. It's an interesting subject.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I apologize that we're so tired.
we're doing the best that we can.
But I got a haircut.
You did.
And there's that, and you can see how gray my Polly Walnuts.
Polly Walnuts. Yeah. He looks like Polly Walnuts.
Yeah.
Well, you are part Italian.
So just know though that if we're drinking and having a beer or something on camera, it's because we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And that we're trying to welcome you into what a relaxing, how we'd relax in our personal time in our home. That's the reason why we don't want to put up barriers and I mean that's what I might do. We want to
be the people that we are and not be fake.
Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah.
And I think an interesting video, if you haven't seen it yet, is the one where Maya talks about alcohol as a kid and how her kind of introduction, what she thinks and how she's observed and kind of dealt with that change. And so I'll link to that below. And otherwise, let's just wrap it up and say goodbye.
Yeah.
We'll see you.